Welcome in, y'all, to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you on a Sunday afternoon after a wonderful 6-0 Texas Rangers victory over the Miami Marlins. We're going to break everything down for you here in just a little bit, all the scoring, the highlights, the key moments, the box score, all that good stuff. And for those of you that have been with us for a while, you know the drill. But for anybody joining us for the first time here at Right on Rangers, we cover pretty much everything sports, but we put a little bit of an extra emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers, and especially the Rangers during baseball season. And it's a good day to be a Texas Rangers fan today. Rangers beat the Marlins 6-0 and take the series victory as well, winning the last two games of the series, 2 out of 3, headed back to Arlington for what should be a competitive series against the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers, of course, were, I think, defeated 3 out of 4 games by the Rangers the last time that they play. The last time that they played probably about a month ago. So we'll see how they fare coming to Arlington. But Rangers were able to take 3 out of 4 in Detroit earlier this year. So hopefully more good things coming as the Rangers head back home. They will face the Tigers and the Giants this coming week. Off day on Thursday. So 2-3 game series ahead. Should be good stuff. But let's go ahead and let's get into today's game. And I think we have to start out with Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney. Pitched absolutely outstanding today. Andrew Heaney, of course, was drafted in the first round by the Miami Marlins, I believe in the 2013 or 2014 draft. So Heaney's been a professional ball player for about 10 years now. And Andrew Heaney actually drafted by Miami back in the early 2010s. And he has absolutely dominated the Marlins since he has been traded away from there, both pitching for the Angels, pitching for the Rangers. He's only pitched actually against the Marlins in a Rangers uniform. So last year, Andrew Heaney pitched against the Marlins through 5 2/3 scoreless innings, struck out 4. Then Andrew Heaney today, the line on him for today is 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks. That's probably the biggest stat for Andrew Heaney. At the beginning of the year was struggling a lot with walks, giving away free bases. So Andrew Heaney to have no walks today, 7 Ks, truly a dominant performance from him. So glad to see Andrew Heaney come out and just absolutely be all over the team that drafted him. You wonder if there's a little bit of an extra motivation there. I would be interested to see. I know Heaney was talking post-game. I wasn't able to listen to the post-game interview, but I would be very interested to see if Andrew Heaney has a little bit of that fuel against his former team, a little extra adrenaline, if you know what I mean. Who knows? Maybe he would downplay it. It's hard to always get a straight answer out of players. But I've got to think the team that traded you away for whatever reason, whether they were trying to get prospects, I forget the nature of the Andrew Heaney trade when the Marlins got rid of him. But either way, I got to think there's a little bit of extra motivation there. And Andrew Heaney has now gone 11 2/3 innings against the Marlins in his career and has not allowed an earned run. Pretty impressive from Andrew Heaney. And I really, really feel like if they can continue to get him pitching this way consistently throughout the season, that's going to be huge for this ball club. We've talked about Andrew Heaney a lot on the show. Don't know if he's eventually going to end up being a bullpen piece. That very well could happen. Either way, having Andrew Heaney throwing well at a high level is only going to help this Rangers club down the stretch. And let's take a look at Andrew Heaney's last 7 games, shall we? So last 7 games, he's started 6 of them. Andrew Heaney, 2.43 ERA in his last 7 games in which he's appeared. 33 1/3 innings pitched, 9 earned runs, 5 walks in those 33 innings, 31 strikeouts in those 33 innings pitched. Andrew Heaney is on a heater right now. 2.43 ERA in his last 7 appearances. Very, very impressive. Andrew Heaney, obviously a first-round draft pick back in the day, very clearly has big game ability, has ace ability. He was drafted very, very highly by the Marlins. So it's not a shock to see Andrew Heaney pitching well. And of course, he absolutely had his good moments with the Angels when he was playing against the Rangers all those years. So I'm not shocked to see Andrew Heaney pitching well, but we all know as a Ranger, Andrew Heaney has had his ups and downs. So glad to see Heen Dog pitching well and pitching well against his former team. That's always fun. And I think after that, after Andrew Heaney, I think we have to segue to Corey Seager, extending that hitting streak to 15 games, extending that on base streak to 25 games. Corey Seager on a very impressive run right now. Looking at Corey Seager's last 7 games, hitting 357. Last 15 games, also hitting 357. OBP well over 400. In Corey Seager's last 15 games, he has an OBP of 471, basically reaching base in every other at bat. So Corey Seager, when he's going well, and when Marcus Semien is going well also, this is a really hard Texas team to beat. Of course, Marcus Semien on base 4 out of 5 times today. Semien goes 1 for 2 with the run scored and 3 walks, averages up to 258 on the year. When Marcus Semien and Corey Seager are getting on base 5+ times a game combined, it's going to be a hard team to beat, this Texas Rangers ball club. So really good to see Marcus Semien, really good to see Corey Seager continuing to hit well. Big reason why the Rangers won this game. Another big reason, we'll just keep kind of going down the box score here, down the line. We had Adolis Garcia finding that power stroke, upper deck shot, pulling a ball to left field. And there was kind of no doubt about that baseball when it left his bat. In terms of the exit velocity, 108 miles an hour off the bat. That Doli home run to left field, upper deck. He was all over that pitch. And that was pretty much a center cut four-seam fastball coming in. It says at about 90 miles an hour. I mean, that's BP for Doli, and he deposited that one into the seats. Really, really good to see Doli finding his swing. We know that Doli has been a little bit up and down this year. The eye, the vision, the plate discipline hasn't quite been what it was down the stretch last year. But today, Doli goes 2 for 5 with 2 RBI with the home run. Good to see him putting in a multi-hit performance. And I think the biggest stat, I mean, yes, the home run is obviously awesome. I think the biggest stat for Doli today, no strikeouts. Putting the ball in play every single time. I think that is so huge for Adolis Garcia. The strikeout has plagued him this season. A lot of strikeouts. Good to see him putting the ball in play nearly every at bat today. And I know that the past few games, he's done a better job of that. Limiting the strikeouts, that's when Doli's at his best. Good plate discipline, good vision up there, taking some walks. That's when you know you've got peak Doli and he is in top form. Beyond that, Josh Smith, let's talk about him. 2 for 4 today with the run scored. And Josh Smith, they showed this stat during the Bally broadcast today. Josh Smith, this might have gone up with his performance today. I'm not sure. But Josh Smith, before his couple of hits today, ranked 7th in the AL, 7th in the American League in OBP. Josh Smith, 7th in the American League in OBP. That's pretty incredible for a guy that really wasn't supposed to be a big contributor this year. No doubt Josh Smith was going to play in a utility role and was going to help the Rangers get some rest to some of their starters here and there. But Josh Smith wasn't going to be an everyday guy. He just wasn't going to be. So to see Josh Smith, top 10 in the American League in OBP, pretty incredible. Pretty incredible feat for a guy that was supposed to be kind of a bench guy, utility player. And if we look at Josh Smith's OBP right now, let's go to his stats real quick. So Josh Smith OBP on the season is sitting at 377. That's pretty elite. That is elite. Anything over 375, creeping close to 400, I consider to be an elite on base percentage. In his past 7 games, OBP is 400 for Josh Smith. Last 15 games, 387. Josh Smith is getting on base at an incredible clip right now. And I think at this point, with the amount of at-bats that he's had, I think we're moving past the fluke stage of things, if you know what I mean. I think it's easy to say in 1 month of play, yeah, this is a little bit of a fluke, whatever. He's hot for a few weeks, great. This is sustained success from Josh Smith. I can't sit around and say he's just having a good month. He's been doing this pretty much all year. Look, you know how baseball works. It's crazy sometimes. You can have an amazing first half of the year and absolutely tank in the second half of the season. We'll knock on wood saying that. But Josh Smith has proven that he can hang in a big league lineup. And I know it's a little bit too early to make these kinds of predictions. Josh Young is still about a month away, but I just can't see the Rangers taking Josh Smith out of the lineup. That would be a crime at this point. They have got to find a way to keep Josh Smith in this lineup. It just is a no-brainer at this point. I really feel like you need to get him a spot every day. Doesn't matter if you have to shift him around a little bit here and there. Josh Smith needs to be in this Texas Rangers lineup every day. Absolutely, 100%. You cannot bench him. You consider all of the other guys in the lineup. Josh Smith, probably at this point behind Corey Seager. You could make a really good argument that he has been the second best hitter on this club behind Siegs this year. I know Corey Seager obviously had his rough month of April, a little bit into May as well. I don't think anybody's going to be putting Josh Smith ahead of Corey Seager, but I think right behind Seager is Josh Smith in terms of production, consistency, all those things. Josh Smith having an incredible year. I think, the numbers aren't going to be super gaudy for Josh. I don't think he's going to get an all-star nod or anything like that, but he is having an incredible year, hitting 287 OBP, 377 OPS over 800. He is having a great season. The Rangers would be in trouble this year. They'd be in big trouble without his production. So no, he's not Josh Young. Doesn't have quite the same presence up there at the plate as a Josh Young. That being said, I think teams are starting to pay attention to Josh Smith, hitting in the 3 spot, protecting Corey Seager very well. Got to give the man his flowers and his props for doing such an outstanding job, stepping up, that next man up mentality, and not missing a beat in Josh Young's absence. The home runs obviously are not going to be as high as what you'd have with Josh Young. The RBI is probably a little bit lower than what you'd have. Now that he's sitting in the 3 spot, though, I'm kind of curious to see how his RBI totals might sneak up. I know that he was sitting lower today with a lefty starter, but impressive to see a guy like Josh Smith, even against a lefty starter, go 2 for 4 today. So hopefully this is the start of good things for the Rangers. We all know how much the Rangers have struggled this year when it comes to facing lefty starters. I would love to see the deep dive stats on just how bad it's been in the first couple months of the year. But the past 2 days, Rangers facing a lefty starter and able to get the offense going early. And I love today that the Rangers once again continue to tack on late. So you score the 3 runs in the first inning. Kind of felt like a pretty typical Rangers game. Hey, we're going to score 3 right away, and then we're not going to score the rest of the game. So I was glad to see Doli tack on in the 6th inning with the bomb, and then the Rangers add 2 more runs in the top of the 9th just to put the game out of reach. You love to see that, and that allowed us to not have to use Kirby Yates. Yates is probably getting to a spot, though, where he might have been able to use a day like today just to stay sharp, but I'm sure he's going to get some usage in the Detroit series. But good to see Leote tack on with an RBI single. I know Travis Jankowski got an RBI through a ground out. So really, really glad to see the Rangers tack on late. That was a big complaint of mine, and I know a lot of other Rangers fans is you're scoring early, but you're not winning the battle late in ball games. So I really, really love to see the Rangers adding runs in beyond the first half of the game. 6th inning and beyond. Great to see them scoring, tacking on late. That is going to be a big key to the Rangers going on a sustained run of success. And of course, the Rangers have now won 5 of their past 6 games. After losing 6 in a row, that is a sight for sore eyes. And the Rangers, as I said yesterday on the live, would really do well to take advantage of the teams that they are playing over the next week. The Giants are a good ball club. Detroit is a good ball club. Those are both teams that the Rangers can have success off of. Of course, the Rangers have already won a series against the Tigers. You would love to see the Rangers go, I would say, 4-2 this week. I think that would be a very reasonable expectation for this team. You're playing 3 games against Detroit. You're playing 3 games against the Giants. It doesn't matter how you slice it, how you get it done. Let's go 4-2 this week. That would be super, super ideal to maybe get the Rangers a little bit of a gain in the standings. The Mariners play today against the Angels, I believe. The Astros, by the way, lost. We're going to do our AL West roundup at the end of the show, but I'll give you a little bit of a preview there. Astros lose today, I think 4-3 to the Twins. Always a great day, an outstanding day when we can get the Rangers winning and the Astros losing. So we'll go to the standings in the AL West roundup in just a little bit. But let's put a bow on this game, shall we, and talk about anything else notable. Wyatt Langford goes 0 for 4 today. Jonah Heim 0 for as well. Robbie Grossman 1 for 3 with an RBI. So back-to-back games, Robbie, RBI. Great to see him doing well. 3 RBI in his last 2 games. I was kind of a little bit hard on Grossman after his initial struggles once the Rangers traded for him. I don't love Robbie Grossman hitting third. It's not very flashy, but it's getting the job done. You know, it's getting the job done. And if Robbie can go 1 for 3 with an RBI each game, it's going to be hard to complain about that. I will say this, I'm going to enjoy when Josh Young comes back in a month or so and reclaims the 3 spot against lefties. You just feel like they are a lot more of a lethal team when they've got Josh Young in the 3 spot versus Robbie Grossman. No disrespect. Robbie's been coming through with some big clutch RBIs the past couple of games. But in terms of sustained success, and like I said, also being a formidable, powerful club on the offensive side of the ball, really feel like that 3 spot's got to be occupied with somebody that strikes a little bit more fear in the hearts of the opponent than Robbie does. That being said, you're not going to complain too much about 3 RBI in 2 days, but it'll be nice to have Josh Young protecting Seager against the lefties. Siegs, like I said, 15-game on hitting streak, on base streak of 25 games, and then a 15-game hitting streak. Let's get that right. Beyond that, nothing really too notable. Nate Lowe comes in and gets a pinch hit single. That was good to see from Nate, who's been scuffling a little bit of late. We talked about Leote with the RBI single as well. Glad to see him getting a base knock. He was on base twice today. Always good to have that from your 9-hole hitter. And then we had Robertson, Latz, Anderson going 3 scoreless innings, giving up 3 hits. No walks from the Rangers at all today. That's a huge stat. You're not giving away free bases. That's always going to lead to good things. And so the Rangers, both Andrew Heaney and the bullpen, no walks today and 7 hits in 9 innings. So the Marlins only get 7 base runners, 11 total strikeouts today. It is a very beautiful stat line for the Rangers pitching today. It really is. And the Rangers pitching has been really pretty solid all year long. We all know, the fans that have been watching day in and day out, the pitching really has not been the issue this year. It's been the bats, and the bats scoring 13 runs over the past 2 games is a good thing to see. Hopefully, it's the start of the Rangers being a little bit more consistent on the offensive side of the ball. So let's go ahead at this point. Let me check comments real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything. What's up to everybody on YouTube? I see I got a few YouTube comments. Absolutely a great game from Doli, from El Bombi. Hopefully, we could get Langford rolling. That sure would be great. He went 0 for today, had a couple of multi-hit games over the past 5 games or so. Hoping to see more of that. Langford getting unlocked would really take this team to another level. It really would. The Rangers really gambled on the rookies, Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, being able to produce at a consistent pace, and they really haven't done that up to this point. It's a reason why the Rangers weren't going after a lot of free agent bats. It hasn't panned out. It still could. I still have hope that Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter are going to return to quality form and contribute for this club. But right now, the gamble on the rookies has not paid off for Chris Young in the front office. I really do hope Langford gets rolling as well. Look, and then the other comment here on Langford, let him DH and maybe not play outfield as much. I don't know. I don't know if we can really make a full determination on his ability in the outfield. I will say this, with a guy that fast and that speedy, that's a player you probably want running around out there, tracking down fly balls. Now, I will say, don't know the advanced metrics and stats on Langford and how good he's been. You know, they do all sorts of crazy stats with route running, how good are routes, do the players run to the baseball, all those kinds of things. I don't know what the advanced stats say on Langford's defense, but I do know when you've got a player that's that quick, that's that fast and athletic out there, you want somebody like that running around out there in the outfield, catching balls in the gaps, things like that. Sorry about that. Either way, we're talking about in this comment that Natalie from YouTube shared, we're talking about Josh Smith here. Yeah, I totally agree there. My fault. Kind of hard sometimes when I pull away from the comments and get on a roll. But look, Josh Smith, I think he is going to find his way in the lineup every day, even when Josh Young comes back. I could definitely see him doing some DH work. I could see him spelling guys on certain days. We'll just have to see what they do, right? He might even, I think last year, correct me if I'm wrong, I think last year he even played a little bit of outfield. It wouldn't shock me if Langford does continue to struggle with the bat. If you see Josh Smith spell him occasionally, maybe Josh Smith will get some outfield work too. We'll just have to see. You know, he's not going to be taking away a lot of at-bats from Semien or Seager at second base or shortstop. Really, the only path for him would be DH, maybe some outfield work here and there. I could see that happening. But hopefully they will find a way to creatively work him in the lineup, especially against righties. Although I'm pretty sure Josh Smith has looked pretty good against lefties this year. Let me see what the splits say on Josh Smith against lefties, just out of curiosity here. So against lefties this year, Josh Smith is hitting .318 in 25 games. So 44 at bats. Pretty decent sample size, right? I think we can all say 44 at bats. That's a pretty decent sample size. Josh Smith hitting .318 off of lefties. So he really isn't a guy that needs to be platooned at this point. And I'm glad to see that they have not done that with him. They have moved Josh Smith a little bit down in the lineup, which makes sense against lefties. But honestly, the dude's hitting .318 with an OBP of 400 against lefties. Josh Smith is killing it this year. Like I said a little bit earlier in the show, he ranks 7th in the AL in the American League in on-base percentage. He absolutely needs to be in this lineup, especially with how the lineup has been playing over the past 3-4 weeks. Look, we're seeing some signs of life. We're seeing some positive signs, but nevertheless, I think Josh Smith is a big part of that. Removing him from the lineup, I don't want to find out what might happen to the offense without him. I know that so many of us are putting a lot of eggs in the Josh Young basket. And I think Josh Young is a great player. By no means am I trying to have some bold hot take here that Josh Young is going to come back and not be a productive player. But I will say this, when you're having a long layoff, rarely is it that you come back and just start immediately mashing the baseball. If Josh Young does that, I'm surely not going to complain, and I'll be happy to eat my words. But I do feel like we need to have reasonable expectations. I think it's going to be a very fair take that Josh Young may struggle, maybe a little rusty coming out the chute after that injury recovery time, probably going to get a little rehab work in there. I'm not putting all my eggs in Josh Young is going to come back week 1 and start raking. I hope he does. But I think that it's a little bit wishful thinking at this point. So I think you got to leave Josh Smith in there to keep this lineup and offensive steady with its production. We'll see what happens. Now, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the AL West. We'll do a little roundup on all the scores from around the American League West Division. And we will also take a look at the standings, and then we'll preview tomorrow's matchup with Detroit. So let's get to it. So around the league right now, we have, I think, a couple of games that have already gone final. We talked about Houston, who dropped the last game of their series with the Twins. I believe they ended up losing that series, if I'm not mistaken. So looks like on Friday night, the Twins won. On Saturday, Stros won. Today, the Twins won. So Twins take 2 out of 3 from the Astros. Great to see that. And the Twins won a tight one today. It was 3-3 going into the 8th inning. Twins score a run in the top of the 8th, beat the Astros 4-3. And then as we look at the A's today, they lost to the Braves in Atlanta 3-1. And then we have got the Mariners beating the Angels today 5-1. So unfortunately, the Mariners maintain their position in first place in the AL West. Speaking of, let's go to the AL West standings right now and check it out. So we've got Texas, second place, trailing the Mariners by 3.5 games. Unfortunately, the Mariners matched Texas' last 2 wins with 2 wins of their own. Houston drops to 7 games back of first place, 3.5 games back of second place behind the Rangers. We've got the A's 6 games behind the Rangers in second place. And we've got the Angels 7.5 games behind the Rangers in second place, 11 games back of first place. So that is the AL West roundup for you guys. Right now, we're going to preview the matchup for tomorrow, and then we are going to sign off and get ready for this Dallas Stars Game 6. That's the plan. So as we look at the pitching preview, looks like we will have Eovaldi going against Skubal. So we got Evo going against Tarek Skubal, who's been very, very good for the Tigers this year. A 2.01 ERA. Tarek Skubal is 7-1 on the season. And looking at his game log, you remember he pitched against Texas earlier this year, went 6 1/3, gave up 4 runs, only 2 earned. I believe that was a game, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to check out the box score now. Believe that was a game that the Rangers ended up winning in the top of the 9th inning. Yes, it was. Rangers won that game 5-4 when they faced Tarek Skubal earlier in the year. Again, there were some errors. Detroit was kind of kicking the ball around a lot, if you remember that. So hopefully the Rangers will be able to have similar success in a game where Tarek Skubal starts. But Tarek Skubal is probably going to be a front runner when the Cy Young discussions really start heating up if he continues pitching this way. He has been having an incredible season up to this point. I think the Rangers were fortunate to get a win in a game in which he started earlier this year. We'll see if they have similar success as they face him tomorrow night with Evo opposing him on the Rangers side of things. Let's go ahead and let's check out the career numbers that each team has against each respective pitcher. So against Skubal, we've got Doli hitting 375 in 8 at-bats. Jonah Heim hitting 375 in 8 at-bats with the home run. We've got Nate Lowe hitting 2 for 5, hitting 405 at-bats. Seager is 4 for 6 off Tarek Skubal in his career. Semien 1 for 5, Leote 2 for 4. So it's a little bit of a small sample size, but the Rangers actually hit Tarek Skubal pretty well in their careers against him. On the other side, Detroit against Evo. We've got Badu with a home run, hitting 2 for 5, 400 average. We've also got Urshela hitting 316 in 19 at-bats with a home run against Evo. And beyond that, doesn't look like there's a whole lot of notable things. We've got a few guys who are 1 for 3 off of Evo in their careers. So not a ton of numbers either way. Urshela with the 19 at-bats against Evo is probably the guy that's seen the opposing pitcher the most. But it's always kind of a little bit of a mixed bag when you've got this limited numbers. That being said, Seager 4 for 6, Jonah Heim 3 for 8, Doli 3 for 8. those are good things to see off of one of the best pitchers in baseball right now, and a lefty pitcher at that. So hopefully the Rangers will continue their offensive prowess and success tomorrow against Detroit. Let's check out how Detroit did today, by the way, and see kind of how they are faring of late. So Detroit is 29-30 right now. When we played them, I think they were about 5 games above 500, if I'm not mistaken. And looking at the standings, Detroit right now looks like 10 games back of the division. The Guardians are just really, really having a hot start to this year. And Detroit is 6-4 in their last 10 games. So playing about 500 baseball. The Rangers, on the flip side, are 5-5 in their last 10. So both teams kind of coming into this matchup at similar places in the season. The Rangers obviously playing in a little bit of a weaker division at this point. I do really feel like the AL West is going to become formidable down the stretch. Houston, Texas, Seattle. Seattle's starting to heat up right now. Texas hopefully is going to be heating up here pretty soon. Rangers crawl to within 1 game of 500 baseball. It's all good to see. I know the AL West is getting a real hard time right now, but I really think that at the end of this season, you're going to see the AL West look pretty competitive. That's my prediction, at least. So that is tomorrow's matchup. And it looks like if we go to the rest of the games against Detroit before the off day on Thursday, on Tuesday, I don't know if they'll have announced all the starters yet. Yeah, Texas is to be determined for a starter on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, it appears like the same thing is going on. Detroit has announced their starters. Looks like we're going to be facing Jack Flaherty, I believe. Is that right? Yep, Jack Flaherty will be pitching on Tuesday for the Tigers. He's got a 3.46 ERA this season, 2-4 on the year. And on Wednesday, we will be seeing Maeda, who we hit around pretty well last time. So I think that the Rangers have some favorable matchups coming up against the Tigers pitching. I'd assume that we'll see Dane Dunning at some point. Dane Dunning probably at some point in this series, if I had to guess. I would maybe imagine that we see Urania on Wednesday, maybe on Tuesday. He last pitched on Friday, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So maybe Urania on Wednesday. We'll see. We'll have to see how Bochy and Maddox want to arrange things for the rotation. But there we go. All right, y'all. Stars and Oilers play in about an hour. That should be good. Hopefully the Stars can get it back to Dallas for a Game 7. Crossing my fingers on that one. I'm actually going to do something new today. I've kind of been collecting some baseball cards throughout my life. A lot of baseball cards, actually. But I really want to try and get a legit collection going. When I was a kid, I loved trading cards with my buddies, all that kind of stuff. So online, I try and find places that are selling packs for super cheap. So I'm going to open up this one for you guys right now, just for fun. I know it's mirrored, so it's going to look a little wonky. But this is just a Topps 2024 14 card set. This is the first series. So we're going to see what we got here. See if there's any Rangers in this pack. Let's have some fun with it. I won't do this every day, but anytime I get a new pack, we'll check it out. We'll see if we get anything good, all right? So first one, we got Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz. We'll see what else we got in here. Off to an okay start. Maybe we'll get some rookies in here. Oh, there's a Doli one. You got Doli up in the middle there. I'll try and get it up a little closer. So we got Doli, and then we also have Shohei Ohtani, Angel Shohei, and Luis Robert from the White Sox. Let's see, what do we got here? Just a Cubs card, boo. I'm not really a huge fan of the team cards. Just my personal preference. I wish they would get rid of them. Luke and Baker. Some of these guys, I got to admit, if it's not a Rangers player, I'm really not like big time aware of some of these guys. So it's kind of fun. I like to look up the players that I get the cards for. Patrick Wisdom, another one. Wasn't he a Ranger for a while, Patrick Wisdom? I feel like he was. I feel like he was in our minors Played for the Rangers for a little bit. I don't know. All right, let's go to Gleyber Torres, Yankee player. Okay, we'll take that. Not bad. And we got Danny Jansen, Toronto Blue Jays catcher. Okay. I'm feeling meh about this pack so far. Hopefully the last few get a little bit better. Dodgers team card again. I'm not a big team card guy. I'd much rather just have another player versus another team card. And, oh, sorry, my people up on TikTok there. I'll get you guys involved here. Bryce Elder is another one. Let me show you guys too. Bryce Elder. Okay. Bryce Elder, by the way, I don't think this is officially a rookie card. This is a 23 card. So I don't think it's officially a rookie card. So no rookie cards quite yet. Here's an Ohtani one from 2023, Angel style. 2023 Ohtani there. And then, this one's cool. Adley Rutschman. We'll take that. He had a pretty decent series against the Rangers when we played them down the stretch. Adley Rutschman there. Grayson Rodriguez, pitcher for the Orioles. There's next, Grayson Rodriguez. And we've got Josh Naylor. That dude has just like a violent swing. Whenever I see Naylor up at the plate, his swing just looks absolutely violent to me. And that is a big boy swinging that bat. Last card. I love Fernando Tatis. Love the way he plays the game. Some of y'all know that I was a Cardinals fan growing up. So grew up cheering for the Cardinals. Lived in St. Louis for about the first 10 years of my life. So big Cardinals fan. And Fernando Tatis Jr.'s dad, Fernando Tatis Sr., I guess, played for the Cardinals. Actually, really famous MLB history moment. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s dad, Fernando Tatis, playing for the Cardinals, hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning against the Dodgers. I was actually watching that game live as a kid. They were playing late out at Dodger Stadium. I always kind of liked it, living in the St. Louis area. You know, when the Cardinals would play late, because the game would start at like 9 o'clock and you get to stay up late watching the game. So I think it was like a Friday night, and Chan-Ho Park was pitching. Some of you Rangers fans, I'm sure a lot of Rangers fans going to be watching this. You remember Chan-Ho Park? I know I do. When the Rangers signed him to that big contract, he was absolutely terrible. But Chan-Ho Park was the guilty party, giving up 2 grand slams in 1 inning to Fernando Tatis Jr.'s dad. It was a really fun moment. I loved watching it as a kid. I'll never forget that. So I love watching Fernando Tatis Jr., his son, play for the Padres now. Just an electric player. So I'll take that card. That's a good one to end on. So not bad. I'd give this pack about a 5 or a 6, I'd say. So look, every once in a while when I get a new pack, I'll open them up. We'll have some fun talking about some different players around Major League Baseball that we get for the cards. So as we always say, thank you so much for liking, for sharing this, for watching. And if you know somebody that's a big baseball fan or a Rangers fan, share this with them. That would mean a lot to me. Let's continue to grow this community, getting good people together, talking about Rangers baseball and baseball in general. I love it. It's why I started this. So I would be very humbled and honored if you would share this with somebody that you know is a big-time baseball fan. Well, go Stars in about 50 minutes or so for Game 6. Hope they can push it to a Game 7. Hope y'all have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll be going live after the games on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday against the Tigers, off day on Thursday. So hope to see you over the next 3 days, maybe tomorrow if you've got the time. Otherwise, hopefully you can catch us on the replay. But for now, we say God bless. Go Rangers. Have a great rest